At the beginning of the story, we see a cunning thief named Morris, who has been caught by the police for a bank robbery and is being taken to the world's most secure prison, Alcatraz, to serve a life sentence. Alcatraz is a prison built on a small island in the middle of the sea. That means even if a prisoner manages to break out of the jail, he still can't escape because the water blocks his way. That's why this prison was considered the most secure in the world. Only the world's top criminals were kept here. But soon, the reputation of this prison was about to be shattered because now a cunning thief named Frank Morris had entered this jail, a man who had already escaped from prison several times before. But this time, Morris was a bit nervous because this prison had extremely tight security. However, Morris didn't intend to spend his life here. He wanted to escape quickly. Upon arrival, he started thinking about escaping. Morris was thoroughly checked from head to toe and then locked in a cell. A guard came up to Morris and said, "Welcome to Alcatraz." And this is where the real story begins. Suddenly, a bell rings and all the cell gates open automatically. The officers call the prisoners outside. The discipline in this prison is also very strict. Prisoners have to follow the rules of cleanliness and returning to their cells on time. Uniformed prisoners line up for breakfast. In front of Morris is Litmus. Morris asks, "I didn't get a fork, so how do I eat these?" Litmus tells him, "This isn't home. Just eat what you're given." Just then, a dangerous inmate named Wolf taunts Morris. Every prisoner in the jail was troubled by Wolf. He used to boss around every inmate here, and there are numerous rape cases against him as well. This prison houses some of the most dangerous criminals. Here, Litmus asks Morris for some food, and during this, Morris gives him his plate. When Morris looks under the table, he realizes that Litmus isn't eating the food himself, but is actually feeding it to a rat. At night, a guard takes Morris to the warden. When Morris arrives at the warden's office, the warden says to him, "I know that you are very sharp-minded and intelligent, but what's the use of all that here? Because many like you have come and gone, but no one has ever escaped from here. Here the prisoners follow very strict rules. Only once every 2 months can someone come to visit you. And even then, only if I'm in a good mood." The warden is a very strict person who gives extremely harsh punishments to prisoners even for the smallest mistakes. The warden says, "Don't even think about escaping from here or you'll be torn to pieces." Morris replies, "No sir, who could think of escaping while you're here?" But actually, from the first day, Morris had already started planning his escape. During this time, Morris seizes an opportunity to steal the warden's nail cutter. Although it was a very small item, Morris knew that in a prison like Alcatraz, even such a tiny nail cutter could be put to great use. As soon as Morris returns to his cell, he hides the nail cutter inside his Bible. The next day, in the bathroom, Wolf once again starts harassing Morris. But this time, Morris was not going to let him off. Now Morris shows his true colors and grabs Wolf, giving him a thorough beating. After beating up Wolf, Morris gained a different kind of reputation throughout the prison. Everyone started to fear Morris. After this, Morris is given a job in the library. There, he meets a man named English. He is a senior inmate of this prison. English, too, had been sentenced to life imprisonment for killing 2 men. He had spent half his life in this prison. He knows every nook and cranny of this prison. He is aware of everything that happens in the prison. He even knows that Morris and Wolf had a fight this morning. He gives Morris some books, which Morris has to deliver to every inmate's cell. In the next scene, they show an open area where the prisoners are playing various games. Just then, he meets an artist named Doc, who is painting his own portrait. Doc is a very simple and decent man who has been serving his sentence here for many years. He was very fond of painting and spent most of his time doing it. Doc said that anyone could go crazy in a prison like Alcatraz, but thanks to his painting, his mind was still functioning normally. Morris asks Doc why he has painted this flower in the painting. "There's nothing like that on your shirt." Doc says, "This is my happiness, which exists only in the painting, not in my heart." After that, when Morris looks to his right, he sees English up ahead. Morris heads towards English. When Morris gets close to him, his followers stop Morris. Then English gestures that he's one of us. Let him come. Morris goes over to him, sits down, and immediately brings up what's on his mind. Morris tells him, "Will you help me escape from here?" Hearing this, English bursts out laughing. "Look, son, this isn't just a jail, it's a grave for all of us. If you want to get out of here, you'll have to die first. Only then will our dead bodies be able to make it from here to the cemetery. Even if, let's say, you somehow manage to climb these high walls, and after that, you get past the dangerous forces, and by some magical power you escape from the hundreds of guards here and make it out of the prison, you still won't be able to escape because the sea will block your way ahead. So don't waste your time and quietly serve your sentence. At least you'll stay alive." But Morris was determined about his plan. He wanted to escape from this prison at any cost. That night, an officer tells Morris that from tomorrow, he will be assigned carpentry work. 50 cents per hour will also be paid as daily wages. Morris immediately agreed to the job because he thought he might find a tool there that could help him escape. The next day, Morris asks Litmus how to escape from here. Litmus says, "Oh, that's very easy. Every cell has an air vent. Through that, you can reach the roof. From there, maybe you can escape." And smiling at Morris's words, he walks away. Then Doc warns Morris that Wolf is coming towards him. Just then, Wolf comes to attack Morris with a knife. Morris wraps his coat around his hand and starts fighting with him. Just then, a guard comes to stop them, but Wolf attacks the guard with the knife as well. Now the situation gets out of hand, and the guard in the watchtower starts shooting. Only then do Morris and Wolf stop fighting. Morris didn't know that there was also a guard in the watchtower. He now starts noticing every detail about this prison, one by one. The guards take Morris and Wolf to D Block, where prisoners are tortured by being kept in the dark all night. This was a cell where no prisoner ever wanted to go. Before going in, Wolf threatens Morris, saying, "Kid, you're going to die by my hands." That night, Morris has to endure all kinds of torture, which leaves him in a very bad condition. After spending 2 weeks in this dark cell, he is brought back to his own cell, where Litmus sends Morris a note through his pet mouse, which says, "Welcome back, Morris." One day, a new prisoner named Charlie arrives, and he is placed in the cell next to Morris. Morris and Charlie quickly become friends. Morris then introduces him to his other friends as well. At the same time, the warden secretly checks each prisoner's cell without informing anyone. When he goes into Doc's cell, he finds many paintings made by Doc there. The warden is surprised to see that Doc's paintings are increasing day by day. Doc has even made a painting of the warden. Seeing it, the warden starts to smile, but for some reason, the next day he orders the guards to throw out all the paintings made in Doc's cell. The warden's decision completely broke Doc from within, because Doc was surviving only because of his paintings. He loved every painting he made, because that was his only source of happiness here, and even that was taken away from the poor guy. Morris tries to console him, saying it's okay, they were just paintings, you can make more. But Doc was unable to recover from this shock. The next day, seeing him, Morris tells the guard, "Please keep an eye on Doc, he looks very disturbed, he might harm himself." Then the guard tells Morris, "Mind your own business." Doc is also assigned to work as a carpenter along with Morris. At that moment, Doc secretly puts something in Morris's pocket. After that, he calls a guard and, using the axe given for carpentry, cuts off 3 of his own fingers, saying, "I don't need the fingers I can't paint with." Saying this, he starts screaming. And then the guards grab him and take him away. Morris sees that Doc has put the same flower in his coat that he used to make his painting. Perhaps he wants to tell Morris that these people have taken away my happiness. Morris picks up Doc's severed fingers, puts them in a box, and looking at the guard says, "Go give these to your warden. He'll be very pleased to see them." The next day, Morris is sitting in his cell when he sees a cockroach going into the air vent, which makes him realize that there must be a way out from there. Just then, English comes and tells him that Doc cut off his own fingers because his permission to paint had been revoked. That's why, out of frustration, he cut off his own fingers. Hearing this makes Morris very angry. The next day in the dining hall, the warden asks Morris why he is supporting Doc so much. He replies, "It's nothing like that." Saying this, Morris goes back and sits at the table. There he meets 2 brothers, John and Clarence. But Morris talks to them as if he already knows them. John and Clarence. Actually, both of them were in Morris's gang in another prison. Now John started to find the idea of escaping from prison easier because both these brothers were as sharp-minded as Morris, and now the 3 of them began planning to escape from the prison. In the afternoon, Charlie's girlfriend comes to visit him. On the other hand, English's daughter comes to visit him. As soon as English sees his daughter, tears well up in his eyes because his daughter had grown up a lot in his absence, and English deeply regretted not being able to witness his daughter's childhood. On the other hand, Charlie's wife tells him that his mother is very ill, and the doctors say she won't survive more than a month or 2. Hearing this, Charlie also starts thinking about escaping from Alcatraz. And just then, a guard comes and says that visiting time is over. Now Charlie is very troubled. That night, he tells Morris that if you make a plan to escape from here, include me as well. The next day, Morris, Charlie, John, and Clarence have a meeting. Then Morris tells them that every cell's air vent opens up onto the roof, and secondly, this place is surrounded by seawater, which has made the walls weak. I have a nail cutter, and I've already started digging. If I dig little by little and make a small tunnel to reach the roof, then after checking out the place, we'll know how we can escape from here. John asks, "If the guards find out at night that you're not in your cell, won't they get suspicious?" At that moment, Clarence says that he has a solution to this problem. He says that there's a barber here whom I know, who cuts the prisoner's hair. He can supply us with hair, and using that, we can make a dummy head and place it on the bed. After that, even if we escape through the tunnel in the wall and are up on the roof, the guards won't get suspicious because there will be fake heads on our beds in the cell. But the problem still remained. Even if we got out of the prison, how would we cross the sea? Morris says to John, "Look, I'll need your help with this. You work in the clothing department. There, you'll find raincoats made for the police officers, so steal a few raincoats and give them to me. We can use them to make a tube boat and life jackets to cross the sea." At this point, Charlie says, "Brother, give me something to do too. I also want to help you guys." Morris tells Charlie that when I dig the ventilation grate, you keep watch so that no guard sees us, and when you dig, I'll keep watch. Everyone likes Morris's plan, and they start working on it that very night. But the nail cutter was too small to dig through the wall, so Morris had to use a lot of force, and he was having a hard time digging through the wall. He even got a small cut on his hand, but he slowly started digging that hole. The next day, at the dining table, he tells his friends that he needs a bigger tool for digging. Scraping the wall with a nail cutter is very difficult. Just then, as Morris looks at the spoon in his hand, an idea comes to his mind. He deliberately rubs the spoon on his shoe to make it dirty. After that, Morris called the guard and said that this spoon is dirty, give me another spoon. The others also requested the guard to change their spoons. The guard didn't find anything suspicious in this and immediately allowed the spoon to be changed. After which he heads straight to the table where another security guard is sitting. But as soon as he starts changing the spoon on the table, John distracts the guard present there by engaging him in conversation. Taking advantage of this, Morris picks up 2 spoons instead of 1 and hides one in his pocket. After which he goes straight back to his cell. At night, when English comes to give him a book, Morris asks if there is any welding equipment available here. English realizes that Morris is still obsessed with escaping from the prison. He says, "I've already told you before that your attempt will be futile because you'll get caught and might even lose your life. All these years it never occurred to me to escape because I know it's impossible. But if you're stubborn, what can I do? Go ahead and try." But Morris doesn't care about his warning at all. The next day he asks Litmus for matches and says, "If you help me, I'll give your mouse my share of food every day." Litmus happily agrees to the deal because he really liked the mouse. That very night, Litmus passes his matches to Morris. Morris removes a handle from the nail cutter to make a small shovel. Then he breaks the spoon and attaches it to the handle of the nail cutter. After that, he uses the matches to weld both parts together well, creating a sharp tool. And with that, he starts digging around the vent. Charlie keeps watch. If any guard comes that way, he will immediately whistle to signal Morris. While keeping watch, Charlie dozes off just as a guard arrives. But luckily, English steps in and distracts the guard. And hearing the conversation on the other side, Charlie wakes up. But in his panic, he can't even whistle, so he drops something instead, and Morris understands his signal, covers up the vent, and lies down on the bed. The guard asks if there's a burning smell here. Morris says, "Sir, as long as you're here, no one would dare to smoke. I don't smell anything." The guard feels reassured and appreciated. As soon as he leaves, Morris removes the concrete around the vent. But new screws and a grill have been added, which will require a sharp tool to cut through. During this time, whenever Morris got a chance to go outside, he would quietly drop the cement he had removed from the grill. The next day, while working as a carpenter, he picks up a piece of metal that is as sharp as a knife. But Charlie asks him, "How will you take it outside without getting caught by the metal detector?" Morris replies with great confidence, "I'll handle all that." When Morris exits, the metal detector beeps. Morris was carrying metal in his hand. The guard asks, "Why are you taking this?" Morris says, "Sir, I thought I would use it to hang clothes." The guard says, "Don't act too smart and hand that over to me." The guard takes the metal, checks and releases Morris. But he's a hero after all. He had stolen 2 pieces. He held one and hid the other in his shoe. Using that sharp piece of metal, he cuts through the grill. To fool the guards, they must make fake heads, and all 4 take on their own responsibilities. Charlie asks the guard for some paint. He tells the guard that he has a passion for making art. The guard doesn't refuse and brings him the paint. Morris grinds the concrete taken out from the hole and makes it into a powder. John collects hair from the barber shop, and Clarence gathers old books from the library. After gathering all the materials, Morris starts making a dummy head using water and old magazines. He paints it and attaches fake hair, creating a fake head that looks completely real. Along with this, Morris also made fake cardboard pieces to strengthen his plan, so that no one would suspect that a tunnel had been made in the front wall. One night, Morris decided to go up alone. For this, he placed the fake head he had made on the bed and covered it up to the neck with a blanket. After that, he takes the fake cardboard and comes out through the tunnel. There, Morris grabs onto the pipes and slowly climbs up to the roof. Meanwhile, on the other side, Charlie is keeping watch outside. After reaching the roof, Morris sees that there is an iron grill above, which he can't reach even by jumping. Meanwhile, a guard comes and asks Charlie, "Why are you painting so late at night? And why did your friend Morris go to bed so early today?" Charlie replies, "Sir, Morris got tired from doing carpentry work today, so he went to bed early." Just then, the guard accidentally drops his baton. As he picks it up, he notices that Morris's hair looks very strange. Now Charlie starts trembling with fear, thinking, "We're done for today." The guard reaches into Morris's cell and touches his hair. So Morris asks, "What's wrong, sir? Is my hair that nice?" Luckily, at the last moment, Morris was lying back down. The next day, Morris tells his companions there's a roof exit, but it's secured by a high grill. "I need the help of one more person." Then John says, "I've completely dug out my vent. Tonight, I'll get there too." The two of them will open the grill together. That same night, Morris and John reach the roof through their vents. John lifts Morris up, and Morris grabs hold of the grill. John sees that this iron grill is extremely strong and has been completely welded in place. There is only one way to remove it, and that is to cut it with a drill machine. The next day in music class, everyone is playing their own chosen instrument. Just then, Morris notices a small fan kept there, and seeing it, he thinks he can work on it to make a drill machine. For this, he tells Charlie to somehow hide the fan from there. Charlie easily hides the small fan in his instrument box. When Charlie finally comes out, the security guards carefully check his instrument box, but they don't see the fan and let Charlie go. As soon as Morris gets his hands on the fan, he starts working on it. And after several long hours, Morris turns the fan into a functional drill machine. That night, Morris and Charlie climb onto the roof and start cutting the iron rod with the drill machine. The sound of the drill machine was quite loud, and hearing the noise, the guards start coming upstairs. But by then, Morris manages to cut one rod of the grill and the drilling noise stops. After the drilling noise stops, the guard ignores it and goes back. Now, all four of them had opened up all their escape routes, and after that, on Tuesday night, they were about to escape from the world's most secure prison, Alcatraz, from which no one had ever managed to escape before. The next day, they have another meeting, and this time too in the movie hall, where everyone else is watching a movie. Amidst the sound of the movie, Morris asks John and Clarence, "Is your vent ready? And what about those raincoats? The ones we were going to use to make 2 boats and life jackets?" They say everything's ready, our dummy heads are set. Now it's just a matter of making our escape. The next morning at breakfast, Morris placed dog's flour on the table. When the warden saw this flour, he came over to their table and crushed the flour lying there. Seeing this, Litmus became very angry because that flour was Dog's favorite, and Dog had died. Litmus, in his anger, attacks him, saying, "First you killed Dog, and now you can't even leave behind this small memento he gave." But as soon as he attacks the warden, he suddenly has a heart attack and collapses to the ground. Morris gets very angry at the warden, and the 4 of them decide to escape that very night and start making preparations. Morris is waiting for midnight so that the guards' vigilance will weaken a bit and they can escape more easily. Just then, English comes to Morris's cell and gives him some books. So Morris says that he wants to shake his hand one last time. English realizes that Morris has made a definite plan to escape from here. He quietly leaves, but what happens next is something Morris had never expected. Suddenly, the warden comes to check his cell. It was as if someone had told the warden about his plan. Morris becomes extremely nervous, because after months of hard work, everything was about to go to waste. The warden ordered every corner of Morris's cell to be checked. The guard checks every single thing in Morris's cell. But Morris was not an ordinary prisoner who had made some small, careless plan. Instead, he had made a flawless and perfect plan. Not even the warden or even the warden's grandfather could have caught it. Even when the guard specifically moved the suitcase from the spot where Morris had dug a tunnel to escape, Morris still wasn't caught because he had already made a fake cardboard piece and fitted it so precisely into the wall. When they find nothing there, the warden and the guard leave. But the guard says that Morris and Charlie talked to each other all night. "I feel like something fishy is going on." The warden says, "All right, tomorrow you change Morris's cell so that the 2 of them won't be together and won't be able to talk." The next day at breakfast, Wolf threatens Morris again and tells him that tonight will be his last night. Morris tells his companions that this fool is right. "Tonight really will be my last night here." But in the afternoon itself, Wolf goes to attack Morris with a knife when English steps in and grabs Wolf. Actually, English also wants to help Morris. Whether he succeeds or not, English wants to help Morris with his plan. That night, Morris, John, Clarence, and Charlie decided to escape through their respective vents and meet up on the roof. At this point, Charlie reluctantly agrees to escape with his companions, but as soon as he reaches his small cell, he starts to panic. Sitting completely alone in his cell, he suddenly decides not to be part of the plan anymore. And the other three make their way through their narrow vents and finally reach the roof. The three of them wait for Charlie for quite a while, but after a long time passes and they realize Charlie isn't coming, they decide to leave without him. The three of them started moving forward according to their plan. But on the other hand, Charlie could see his dream of freedom slipping away before his eyes. The three of them began to escape, slowly hiding from the searchlights. In this way, sneaking around, they reach the end of the building. Just then, as Charlie sits in his cell, a surge of determination fills his heart, and he also decides to escape. He gets out through his vent and makes his way up to the roof. But now it was too late, because he couldn't reach that door at the top by himself. In other words, he lost his chance at freedom because of his fear. On the other hand, the three of them hang from a pipe on the roof and drop down to the ground, avoiding the gaze of the security guard in the tower. They make their way to the last wall of the prison, and then, one by one, they climb over the fence and escape from the prison. Now, the three of them run quickly and reach the seashore. Then, the three of them take out the raincoats and start inflating them by blowing air into them with their mouths. It was taking them quite a while to inflate by mouth, but they had no other option, so, putting all their effort into it, the three of them finally managed to inflate the tube boat made from raincoats and put the boat into the water. In this way, the three of them escape, bringing Alcatraz's reputation to dust. The next morning, a guard is checking every cell. At first, everything seems normal to the guard, but when he reaches Charlie, Charlie is standing in his cell like a ghost, silently berating himself, thinking if only he had mustered a bit more courage last night, he might have escaped with the others. The guard asks, "Why is your friend sleeping so late?" Saying this, he goes to Morris's cell and calls out to him. But when there's no response from Morris, the guard gets angry and opens the cell, trying to pull him up by his hair. But when the guard yanks him upwards forcefully, the head falls off. Seeing this, the guard was completely shocked because Morris was no longer in the cell but was out enjoying the world. He had left his dummy head on the bed, after which sirens started blaring throughout Alcatraz. The news spread throughout the prison that some inmates had escaped, after which the warden began searching every corner of the prison for the three of them. When the three of them couldn't be found inside the prison, the warden launched a search operation in the sea. The warden couldn't believe that all three had managed to escape. He thinks that the three of them must have died in the water. But deep down, the warden knew that they were all very strong. Those three must now be breathing the air of freedom after crossing the sea. Headquarters grilled the warden. "Were you sleeping when those three escaped?" Stressed, the warden then spotted the dog's favorite flower. Morris also wanted revenge for the dog. Then the search team head reported, "Sir, we've searched everywhere, but we haven't found their bodies." Now, to save his job and his own image, the warden tells him to write the report exactly as he says. Write that those three tried to escape, but all three drowned in the water and died. But no one believed Walton's statement. After this, Morris became famous all over the world as a genius for breaking out of Alcatraz prison. A year after this incident, Alcatraz prison was shut down because there was no longer any guarantee that no one could escape from there. In this way, the film based on this true story comes to an end. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe to our channel and be sure to like the video.